Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Today we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Project Multi and my Zamasu build. Now, the Immortal God Zamasu build is actually one of the deadliest builds in the game due to the fact that it requires nothing but just a little bit of skill, a little bit of macro. Now, if you guys do not know what macro means micro actions that allow you to actually take over the game in some way, shape, or form. So, the thing about this build is it's going to require you to understand the fundamentals of Zamasu's kit, what it means to use Zamasu, and why he's so darn destructive and easy to use and just freaking he's honestly probably one of the easiest brain dead characters in the entire game, but he's also selfish. So, the only problem is, yes, you could solo almost everybody in the entire game, but you'd have no way of truly stopping them from getting objectives without sacrificing yourself in the long run. Now, let me explain why this is the best possible build for him. And we'll go over his cards at the end and all that stuff. But first, I want to explain his actual kit. So, his actual kit is Body Regeneration, which is his passive. This regeneration ability is actually very freaking cool because as long as you have that little bit of extra green bar used from getting PvE kills throughout the entire game, then you could just like keep farming that and then come back after every single fight and be able to store that energy to either revive yourself or to protect yourself from dying in PvP instances against multiple people at the same time. So, very, very important. Body regeneration is very, very good. And we're going to be using that quite a bit in this build. And the reason why, and I'll explain later, is because you're going to need to keep your stacks. Now, we're going to talk about Heavenly Arrow. You're going to need Heavenly Arrow, you're going to need Fierce God Slicer, and you're going to need Divine Rush. Now, the thing is, to actually use these moves in Coalition, you're going to start off with Fierce God Slicer. You're going to level that to level 2 instantly. Fierce God Slicer has such a broken passive bleed. It's so annoying to like fight in the early game to the point where you could really take advantage of both of your enemies at the same time and just defeat them sooner than later. Same thing with Heavenly Arrow. We're going to be using Heavenly Arrow, but not in the way that you think we're going to be using it. We're going to be using it after we get a very specific card towards the end game. But in the early game, you're mostly going to use Heavenly Arrow to either poke or just slow down your enemy to get some extra damage off. We're really going to be focusing on M1ing and a Fierce God Slicer. Divine Rush is actually going to not be used to actually engage in combat. It's going to be used to disengage. The reason you want to use it to disengage is because you really don't want to be in the position where you end up being, too aggressive, because then you could end up killing your entire run, and that could literally, ruin you. And towards the end game, especially if you've been relying on these stacks to be the absolute monster that you can be. Zero Mortals plan, which is the this is like your big boy move. Now your big boy move is only going to be used if you're going to stop people from getting objectives. This is not to like hit people on the objective. I see a lot of people using it in that regard. No, you want to use this to stop them from even getting anywhere. You want to shut them down as soon as possible. You want to use that Fierce God Slicer. You want to use that Heavenly Arrow. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about the actual kit for Zamasu and why you need to run these very specific skills in a very specific way. And we're going to do that by talking about his cards. Now, the cards that we're going to start off with is Super Snowball. In the early game, Zamasu could rack up some ridiculous amounts of kills. And Super Snowball is definitely the best way to do that because of the fact that you're going to get so many early game kills, even without a teammate, as long as the enemy is not that good. So that's pretty much like a free stack that you can rely on. This free stack is rather ridiculous and can carry your entire game if used in the right way. Now, Super Snowball, if you do not know, well, it's kind of I'm showing it on the screen right now, but every single time you get a KO or an assist on an enemy hero, so that doesn't even mean you have to get the KO. That means you could be working on getting assists and farm off your teammates as well, especially if you're working with someone like an Android 18 and stuff like that, because then you could really save your entire early game without a problem. Now, Prepare to Die. Prepare to Die gives a slight damage boost towards the end of someone's life after they hit 50% of their HP. Now, This effect is greatly boosted if the enemy holds out for at least 4 seconds. So this is where we apply pressure. This is where we apply heat. This is where you use the Zero Mortals plan. This is the moment when you start spamming. Because if you can keep the heat on the enemy, you will be able to shut them down even quicker than before. And this isn't even the most broken part of the build, because keep in mind, you don't have to worry about survivability. You don't have to worry about being alive. You're going to be able to stay alive using the immortality passive. Not just that, but also the fact that you can use that passive alongside using your rush move to get out of situations such as the spirit bomb, the photon bomb, the just like any situation that you're stuck in. And prepare to die is definitely the best way to shut down the enemy as soon as possible, because we all know Zamasu's not made for attacking, but he's such a selfish character that we're allowed to actually build him as a full-on damage dealer with no problems at all. Now, the next part is, this is where, like I said, we're going to talk about a little bit of macroing. Now, the last move, which is kind of a weird one because normally you would use Berserker with a character like Zamasu, I actually like using Pursuer a lot more. Pursuer is my favorite move if you have a character that can skill spam. And Zamasu is not a skill spamming character, not without having any type of delay between his attacks. So you can't use like this God Slicer into Divine Rush or God Slicer into Zero Mortals plan. It's too slow. What you're gonna use is you're gonna use a very, very specific setup. And that's gonna be Fierce God Slicer into a level 1 to 2 Heavenly Arrow. You don't want to take it to 3 yet because it's going to take too long and you're not going to benefit. Now, when this does happen, you could also do it the opposite direction, such as Heavenly Arrow into God Slicer. Just because God Slicer is your fastest move, and Heavenly Arrow is your second fastest move. And if these things hit, you can do so much damage. You can pretty much take out an Android 18 in about 2 seconds. You can defeat most of the armor that's on the body of someone like Vegeta, which is absolutely insane to me. So that pretty much does it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell down below. Stay notified in all future Dragon Ball Multis content and other content in the future. Take it easy, dudes. And oh wait, did we? Yeah, we covered about everything. Oh yeah, one other thing you can do, by the way, is definitely using Divine Rush into any of the moves, such as Divine Rush and a Fierce God Slicer. That is one that works, but to hit Divine Rush, especially a level 1 to level 2, it's a little too hard. But, you could still do that. Totally possible. I think there's just enough delay with Divine Rush to Fierce God Slicer, so that's the only way you could really make it work. All right. Peace out.